Hey, what is up, guys? Ace Fantasy Sports here. It is the 17th, and we'll be looking at the NFL early only slate. So, looking at the weather reports as of just a few minutes ago, all the games look like they're going to have good weather. The only one that looks like it might rain a little bit is I believe it's the Giants game. Let me double check that just so I'm not giving out any false info here. And I believe, actually, yes, the Giants have a 2% chance of rain, and the Steelers has a 4% chance of rain. So really nothing to worry about. Weather shouldn't be a factor in any of these games. Just looking real quick at the over and unders. The highest projected game in the noon slate is going to be the Giants and Tampa Bay at 52.5, and Indianapolis and Tennessee at 50.5, and Detroit and Carolina at 49.5, as well with Dallas and Atlanta at 49.5. Let's see here. Yeah, all the other ones are pretty low. I think that's pretty accurate. I agree with a lot of these. I could see the Jacksonville Pittsburgh even being lower than the 46 projected. I do see the New York Giants and Tampa Bay. I probably see that being over. I think they're going to cover that and maybe even hit the high 50s, low 60s. I think that's going to be a shootout. I don't think Dallas and Atlanta is going to cover that 49-point spread. For some reason, that game's always hyped to be this big shootout, and Dak just can never, even as a diehard Cowboys fan, just never meets up to the shootout, game flow, and he struggles with that. So unless Zeke ends up catching, a bunch of screens or, throwdowns and picks up 80 yards, I don't see Dak, coming anywhere close to even like 275 yards. But anywho, though, this is my noon slate. Feeling pretty good about it right now. I keep flip-flopping if I want to go expensive or cheap at quarterback. You do have Lamar Jackson looking like he's going to start, and with his price being only at 49, I think, 48, 47, it's really hard not to take him, especially against a depleted Cincinnati's offense. I do think the Ravens D is going to give him a lot of opportunities to get in the end zone and experiment with that offense with the read options, pass options, and kind of just really just let him work his magic. I may switch back to him. I'm still tinkering around with it, but as of right now, Cam Newton against Detroit, I love the matchup. Cam's only at 6'2". He's gonna feast. I also got McCaffrey down here as the flex, just in case he ends up McCaffrey catches the pass for a TD or racks up a lot of receiving yards. Just get that stat going. I don't trust any of the receivers, and I don't trust Greg Olsen quite yet. I think he's almost at 100%, but he's just not quite there yet. And if he is, he's still just not playing like his true self right now, at least in the receiving area. I know he's blocking has been pretty well the last couple weeks. I went cheap at running backs. I know there's a lot of good options with Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, James Conner against Jacksonville with the price reduction. Joe Mixon, I'm staying away from him with AJ Green out, just like I'm staying away from Tyler Boyd. I don't trust it. Andy Dalton, do not trust him when it's time for him to step up, just like someone like Kirk Cousins. He just can't rise to the challenge and persevere through that whenever he's down, his big playmaker. Tevin Coleman has a good history against Dallas. They are playing at home in Atlanta. Ito Smith has been, digging into his touches lately. Tevin Coleman's only seeing 11, 12 carries, but he is being involved in the pass game still. And at that 5.3 price point, I'm only looking to get maybe 2.5 times value. So looking at, 15 points. Or actually like 12 to 15 points, and I think if we can just get him a goal line touchdown, or he catches a lot of passes for touchdowns, if we can just get something like that, I'll be very happy. And then Theo Riddick with Marvin Jones out, he's gonna be playing a lot of receiver. Be also catching a lot of balls at the backfield. So I do like his chances to get into the end zone. His last 2 weeks, 8 and 7 targets, scoring 10 plus fantasy points. So just even if you were to just do that, he's already getting me value. I would like to see more points just for tournament-wise, but I won't be disappointed, and it's not going to kill my lineup if he just gets me that. TJ Jones again. It's kind of risky, stacking both of these guys, but at 3-3, and he's going to be playing a lot out of the slot. I do think Carolina's defense is going to put a lot of pressure on Matthew Stafford, and I expect a lot of short passes to TJ Jones and Theo Riddick. TJ Jones, I don't know if you guys remember, a couple years ago or maybe a year or two ago, he was a decent slot receiver. He's not anything to write home about or stash in your actual fantasy league as of right now. But for, a weak replacement right now, I'm okay with it. I mean, he only got 2 targets last week, but it was against Chicago on the road. The week before that, Minnesota on the road. So you can't really use those as sample sizes because Detroit's offensive line is struggling, and TJ Jones is getting reacclimated with the offense, playing with all the starters. And especially with Marvin Jones out, they're going to have to find ways to get him open because they can't just rely on Kenny Galladay the whole game. And Carolina is going to be working on singling Kenny Galladay out and making, Matthew Stafford force some of these other guys like TJ Jones and Riddick to kind of step up and, win the game if they want to do that. So I think he's a good option, especially at 3-3. Don't need a whole lot of points at him. Give me 10 points. Again, I'm happy. But I do need my studs, though, to make sure they have good games. OBJ, the Giants have a tendency of sucking the first half, just like, when they made that Super Bowl run. I think they started the year like 1-4 and rallied and ended up, winning the Super Bowl that year. I don't think that's going to happen at all, but I do think they're going to put up a fight in the back end of this year, and I think the Giants are going to get the win pretty steadily against Tampa Bay. But I do think it is going to be a shootout, so I'm taking Mike Evans and OBJ. Mike Evans has kind of been struggling the last couple weeks. Just looking at his game log, 10 targets, 1 reception, 16 yards, 6 targets for 3 catches for 51, and then, against Cincinnati, 6 for 179 and a touchdown. Like, that's what I want to see. Or 107 yards on 7 catches for 20 points. Like, that's what I want to see. I do think that drought ends, and at the price at 7-3, I'm more than happy to pay for that. Jack Doyle, this is more of just like a gut play. He's getting healthier and healthier by the week. We saw, his, week 8 and week 10, 7 targets, 6 catches, 7 yards, and a touchdown. Against Jacksonville, I wasn't expecting him to do much, but, he hauled in all of his passes. He caught every ball, and, they did win the game still. But I think he's going to have a lot more opportunities against Tennessee to get open, and I expect, about 70 yards and a touchdown from him. And I've already said it, McCaffrey, stacking him with Cam Newton. And then the Ravens D, we saw it last week. It's like what I said in the video. If you did watch last week's noon lineup I did, I picked the Saints defense against Cincinnati with A.J. Green out, and I called it. I said, at least 2 picks, and, he threw 2 picks, got sacked like 4 times, and, it was a cheap defense, but they feasted on it. The Ravens have a much better defense. They're at home. It is a divisional game. And, maybe Lamar Jackson causes some fumbles or throws some bad picks, and, Cincinnati can put some easy points on the board. But I'll still take my chances of taking the Ravens D. Jackson isn't necessarily like a rookie that has no experience, like Nathan Peterman, just coming onto the field with no actual live experience. He's kind of like Hill for the Saints. He's on the field a couple plays a game, running some special, run options. So he is, familiar with at least being on the field. The only difference is, he'll be playing starting minutes. So feel free to tinker, though, and see if you can get Lamar Jackson, and maybe try tinkering around with some other guys and see if you guys can create your own lineups that are, stacked heavily if you want to get better running backs, or, maybe take away TJ Jones. There's definitely room for tinkering with this, but I feel really confident in placing my tournaments, winning my double-ups with this lineup. I feel really good about the floor of this lineup, and I definitely have the upside for tournaments. So really happy with this. Hope you guys, hope this helps out. Any questions or anything, feel free to hit me up on the comments, and y'all have a good weekend. Take care.